Welcome back, all you Fabricants and Fleshbags, to the super, not funny show, Supercast. The Supercast, where we talk about all things superhero in our pop culture media, and that's, of course, movies, TV shows, video games. We talk about news, do some speculation, all that good nerdy stuff. I am Mo De Poupe, your resident fabricant and comic extraordinaire on all things pop culture, joined by the anime expert, video game designer, and lover of all things superhero, my good friend LADI. LADI, Happy New Year. We're back on the channel. It's 2023, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Just, some stuff happened during the holiday, some personal stuff, but I'm back feeling better. I'm ready to talk about a lot of this stuff that's coming out. 2023 is going to be one heck of a year. It's just a lot of stuff is happening.
Heck yeah, we're manifesting that. This year, superheroes are going to kick ass, take names, and generally speaking, just make us all happy. We got so much to look forward to this year. It's ridiculous. We talked about some of that at our end of the year videos about what we were anticipating. But we're back into the swing of things on this first week of the year. And man, you know what? The news has been coming in, or we took kind of last week off, and so some stuff has sort of been going on. So LADI, some of the things we're going to talk about today. There's going to be a Stan Lee documentary coming this year. We're looking forward to Stan the Man. Marvel is going to be putting out an official MCU timeline. Is Marvel going to be doing more Halloween specials like Werewolf by Night? Ryan Coogler speaks about further involvement with the world of Wakanda. We're going to look at some of the actors that are coming back for or coming to What If Season 2. And we're going to see how many MCUs shows are coming this year. It's fewer than you might think. Someone's going to have to pick up that phone because we're going to be talking about Wakanda Forever and how it did in the box office in 2022. Some unfortunate news about Jeremy Renner. We're going to look into that. And we're going to talk about Girl and Devil Dinosaur, the sneak peek we just saw for the show that's coming out pretty soon. So a bunch of stuff's going on. We're not even going to talk about all the DC stuff that's going on or any of that stuff. There's plenty of other things to talk about. So, LADI, first show of the year, you ready to get into this news?
Yes.
Let's do this, man. So it came out probably last week that sometime this year on Disney Plus, we're getting a Stan Lee documentary. That's right. Mr. Excelsior himself, the man of many cameos, the guy who helped create a lot of the stuff that we love to watch on TV and in cartoons and so forth, and of course in the comic books. So, am I wrong? Does everybody basically love Stan Lee, right? Or love Stan Lee? Of course he passed away a couple of years ago, but everyone seems to love him. Like I don't know if have you ever done this? If you've seen people that do reaction videos of MCU stuff, and just seeing him show up and everything seems to just put a smile on everyone's face. And so, it's hard to understate how much of an impact he's had on comic books and on comic book characters in our pop culture and in general. So, LADI. I don't even need to ask. I know you're looking forward to this.
Yeah, I am. And also, one of the main things I want to see this is the memes that will come out of this. And I mean the memes as in it's going to be like a Stan Lee's Last Dance. He's like, they said a wall crawling bug can't be a superhero, and I took that personally. I took that.
Oh, that's a great call actually. And you know what I want to say. This is kind of in line with some of the cool things that Disney Plus has been doing with the Marvel Assembled. Kind of going behind the scenes and seeing how they make how they're making the movies and everything like that. Talking to people behind the scenes, And I would love if that's that book, just kind of a deep dive into it, because I've heard his story a lot of times. We've talked about it. We've heard his interviews and so forth. And I would love to just kind of get a lot more background, on this. You know, he was a Jewish kid from in New York City that really wanted to be a great novelist, and then he sort of fell into this kind of pulpy, superhero thing at the very beginning. And I mean, just for me personally, I read the comic books as a kid, and seeing Stan's letters and everything like that. It's just there's just something special about the guy, and God, I can't wait. Uh, I don't. I know. I mean, for you, I don't think you read the comics so much as I did, but just seeing him, what's your thoughts about him as seeing him as a kind of the connecting tissue between the MCU, the Marvel movies.
Stan Lee. I mean, here's the thing. I was always like, even as when I was younger, I was like, I was into Stan Lee. Like, I always knew Stan Lee was a cool guy. And I mean younger. I mean, like, even when I was a kid, like Stan Lee, a lot of the things that he touched, he was like cool. He was like, I loved it and it was cool. Like, I wasn't one of those guys in the first Spider-Man movie. Like, who's that? I knew immediately who that was because I just knew who Stan Lee was. Stan Lee's is Stan Lee, in my opinion. I feel like maybe this younger generation may not know, but I feel like Stan Lee was sort of like the Michael Jordan of the comic book industry. Like, he was like, you knew, like, everyone knows, like, if you hear the name Stan Lee, if you say that name to anybody that was born in the 90s that lived in America or knew anything about comic books, they know exactly who you are. Not even the 90s, the 80s, the 70s. They know who Stan Lee is. He was that big.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know. They know Superman, but they don't know who the person who wrote Superman. They don't know who the person who wrote Batman. But Stan Lee is that guy. He was that person that you could connect the face to the name. You immediately knew who he is, and he deserves this. He deserves a documentary showing you, what he's brought to the comic book industry, to where it's now part of not just comic books, it's part of our pop culture and movies. I mean, like I said, I gotta see the memes. I got to see the memes that come out. I gotta see them.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited for this. So, we'll talk about it more. I imagine we're going to review it when it comes out later this year. Speaking of Marvel, LADI, and I'm seriously thinking about pre-ordering this, an actual physical book. And I'm not huge on those because they take up so much space, but I might have to get this. Marvel's going to publish an official MCU timeline book. Like, I'm imagining one. Yeah, oh no, I got this for Christmas. My daughter, because she knows her dad so well. she got me a big coffee table book, the Encyclopedia of the Marvel Universe, updated, and it's huge. Wow. And it's got all this stuff. I'm imagining something like that, but just chronicling all everything that's happened in the MCU up to the present year, and also apparently supposed to have a bunch of like extra information in there, that maybe we know but we don't know, like the details. This sounds awesome. Like, for me personally, as wanting to collect something cool, this sounds like an awesome thing to have. I don't know. Is this something that interests you? Do you think this is something that people are gonna want to run out and get?
Yeah, especially, here's the thing. If you have a long standing like series of anything, and it's good to have an encyclopedia. The hardcore nerds are gonna love this. Like I said, I have a Metroid encyclopedia. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I am a huge Metroid fan. Yeah, it's like Disney. It's like, yeah, don't take my money if you don't. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like, Fry, shut up and take my money.
It's like, of course, why not? I mean, you have a long standing. And plus, here's the thing: what's really cool about those encyclopedias, it'll give you insight on stuff that you didn't even know. Like, there's stuff that I am a hardcore Metroid fan. When the official Metroid encyclopedia came out, there was stuff that was written there. I was like, I didn't even know that. I was like, wow, didn't even know that, because there's backstory to things that maybe they kind of failed telling you in they failed at like conveying to you in the movies or in the TV shows, that when it's written and you can actually read it, you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay. And you go back and you say, oh, I see it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And yeah, of course. I mean, I'm really surprised it took them this long to do it.
Yeah, what I think this is like, they have certain people. I've heard understand that they have an actual position or two, and their whole job is to keep up with the chronology and make sure that everything's on track so that people don't step on each other's toes. Like it's gotten to that point where they actually have to have people whose whole job is to keep everyone in line. And so I imagine that it's being co-written by three people. So I imagine that these three people are those people that kind of keep the timeline together. And so they got to be super nerds and everything like that. And I love them for it. I also think that, you know, this is the sort of thing you have on your coffee table because, and this will tell the truth about the penetration of Marvel, that you could have it on your table and people like, oh, okay. And like, oh, I recognize that because almost everyone has probably seen at least one Marvel movie. And
Yep.
that's the sort of penetration that Marvel has right now. So I think that this is a good thing, and I can't wait. Can't wait to see this. So we're gonna check that out when it comes out later this year. Um, Speaking of Marvel, some more. Like this seems to be all Marvel today for whatever reason. We watched that Werewolf by Night Halloween special, and I loved it. I think you were a pretty big fan of it too. It generally speaking seemed to have been pretty well received all the way around. Just as like a departure from the normal Marvel, the normal MCU fare that we usually consume. It kind of did its own thing. It was allowed to kind of breathe. It's just a little special. Not a movie, not a TV show. It was kind of an hour long thing, right? Uh, and it was just a nice, breath of fresh air. Well, maybe it was so good that Marvel's thinking of doing two more. That's the rumor. It's the rumor coming from a kind of an insider Twitter account talking about Marvel looking at making two more MCU Halloween specials to kind of explore more of the monster verse within the MCU. LADI, I mean, is this a surprise at all? Like, for real? Like, I thought I saw this and I was like, well, duh. I thought we had already established that they were probably going to do this again. LADI, was this a revelation at all to you?
No. I mean, if you can do Christmas specials, you could do Halloween specials. I mean, you
Yeah.
have you have a dark part of the Marvel story. You know what I mean? You know, it would be cool to see what else they have in mind to add to the like you said, to add to the story. Like you could add more like of Blade, even stuff like in the Moon Knight world. It's all different type of stuff.
Well,
Even it
if
doesn't even
anything,
have.
man thing. They literally he was just in there. He wasn't the focus. That was Werewolf by Night, but Man Thing was in there among other things. I mean, there's still, Elsa Bloodstone. Like her story hasn't really been told. Like
Hmm.
the supernatural side of, or I mean, there's literally like a zombie guy. There's the what's that passage between worlds, like down in the Everglade or the swamps in Florida. I mean, there's so many things that are going on. Hell, Brother Voodoo, he's kind of a sorcerer or something like that. I mean, there's all sorts of places they could go in the supernatural side of the Marvel universe. Blade is like a small corner of that we don't really they don't really talk about, that there's more to it than that. So,
They can even do Eldritch horror stuff. You know.
oh my gosh, you don't. There's the great old ones are actually in the Marvel universe. Like they don't talk about that much, but they are. Uh, I mean, what's his name? Shuma Gorath is kind of like a light version of that. So, I mean, they have, or what they hadn't said, Nightmare, or
Yep.
or Blackheart. Blackheart is, remember because I know you played Marvel versus Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
Blackheart, he was a badass in that game, but in the MCU or in the Marvel Comics universe, he is ridiculous. Like, so there's all sorts of places they could go with that. I don't know. I'm happy that that they're working on it, and I can't wait to see what they plan to do. I hope Michael Giacchino comes back personally because he was pretty awesome. But we'll see. We'll see if this rumor turns out to be true. I imagine it will be. Um, let's talk about. Oh, let's do two things. We're gonna talk about Wakanda forever. We're gonna talk about the world of Wakanda. But so let's talk about Ryan Coogler, who so far he's directed two Marvel movies, Black Panther and then Wakanda Forever. First one did $1.3 billion. The second one, it's doing pretty well, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the question was asked to him, like, are you gonna do more? Are you gonna do more Wakanda related things in Marvel? Which I might note was kind of a silly question because we already know he's producing a World of Wakanda TV show. That's a thing that they talked about like 2 years ago. So but either way, Lottie, his response was basically, well, if people still want to see this and Marvel wants to keep paying me for it, I'll keep coming back to do these things because there's plenty more to talk about. To me, I don't see how this is a revelation at all. It's just a reassurance to me. But Lottie, he says he'll come back if people want him to come back. So do you think people want him to come back? And, does Marvel want him to come back? And do you think, he still has, do you think he still has fuel in the tank for telling stories about Wakanda and the people of Wakanda?
So, so the thing about it is that they're working. He wants to make a Black Panther 3, right? I mean, I feel like of course. I mean, it's a $2 billion franchise. You've made $1 billion between each movie. I mean, not to try to make a third movie would be dumb. I mean, maybe you age up. Maybe you wait for like a time period skip because of what happened at the end of the first movie. I mean, at the end of the second movie, you can do a time period skip where that character, because I still don't, I still kind of not trying to ruin it for people who haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Time skip it to where that character is now an adult or somewhat of a teenager. So stuff like they can have a chance to uh, actually be part of the story and not just a kid. So maybe that's what they do. Maybe they wait until, like I said, maybe they wait until after what's that? The Secret Wars and all those
Yeah.
movies to make a Black Panther 3.
Yeah. I think it's pretty clear, though, we're not, Black Panther 3 is not coming until, let's see, 2025 is when Secret Wars and the Kang Dynasty is supposed to come out. I think it's pretty clear we won't see Black Panther 3 until at least 2026. That sounds about right.
Mhm.
4 years, because it took 4 years to make that one, another 4 years, and that's just because it's not because they couldn't turn one around quickly. It's just really because other shit is going on in the MCU, and so turning around after 4 years is seems like a pretty decent amount of time actually. But as far as that goes, I mean, I can't see any reason not to keep Ryan Coogler involved in that corner of the MCU. It doesn't make any sense. It's pretty clear he's a success. His view, his storytelling within that realm is a success, and people like to see like what they're seeing. So I can't imagine. It's not like with Taika Waititi where he did Thor: Love and Thunder, and it's a good, it's a decent drop off in terms of popularity and everything, and box office from the previous one. It's not like that, so I can't imagine that there's a good reason to say no to him. And also, my understanding is he's got a great working relationship with Kevin Feige. That's my understanding of it, and they believe in his vision of it so far. It seems to work well within the Marvel universe. So, I mean, I think this is a given. So no surprise to me. I'm not in any way surprised that he says, "Sure, I'll stick around if people want me to," because I mean, who would? So we'll see. I think we're gonna learn. Hopefully, we'll learn sometime this year more about this World of Wakanda show. Because dang it, Okoye needs her. She needs her own time, you know. But we'll see. We'll let you guys know when we find out any information. Let's stick with talking about Wakanda Forever, or Black Panther. Lottie, I don't know if you can you hear that? It sounds like there's a phone. I think you need to pick it up. I think you need to pick up that phone
Why?
because I fucking called it. Oh, give me my props. Give me all of. In fact, you know what? Y'all should kind of be mad at me a little bit because I undersold Wakanda Forever. I said they'll hit a 800 million by the end of the year. Man, they hit 800 million before Christmas. So I'm just like, well, dang, it's like I'm on The Price is Right. I'm not even gonna get to the right number. I called it, y'all. I said 800 million. They got 800 million before. So as of today, let me look at it. But if I remember correctly, it was at 800 and what are we at? $821 million as of today. So it is January 3rd, and it has been consistently making about one and a half, 1.5, $1.7 million a day since Christmas. And yeah, of course, it's going to keep dropping off because that's the way it is. And also, it's slated to hit Disney Plus pretty soon, like within a month. So its earnings, are going to top out. But still, $821 million. That's nothing to sneeze at. Yeah, it's not 1.3 billion like the first one. Yeah, I get that. There's some reasons for that. There's some good reasons that some people are, willfully ignoring to try to make this out like this. Have you heard these people talking about like this is a failure? Have you seen people talk about this like it's a failure? Like for real?
Man, the movie's not a failure. I mean, it's not a failure, and it's not a absolute success because it didn't reach the $1 billion mark. But who knows? It might.
I
But
mean,
it's definitely
let's.
not I'll say it's a win. It's definitely a
Yeah.
win.
I mean, like that maybe tells us like that the bar for Marvel movies is set higher than other movies because 800 any movie making 800, and I don't care what anyone thinks. Even if, and I don't think this was the budget, but let's say the budget was 250, it still is profitable. Even if it's $250 million budget, it's still profitable, right? And decent, and quite well profitable at 821 million. Is this the world we live in, where a film can make $821 million and people are like, oh, that's not very good? Yes, it is. It is. And by every measure, unless this movie had overages and had to be reshot twice so that it would cost $400 million to make, it won. Yes, it didn't reach $1.3 billion. There's some really good reasons for that. Aside from the fact that the main character, the guy that played the main character passed away, so they couldn't have him in the movie at all. Quite aside from the fact that, the pandemic and people are, sort of trying to get back to a regular thing. Black Panther also came right before a major Avengers movie. So it was directly tied into it. So I mean, it had a lot of things going for it, and it's also a great movie. So I'm not gonna lie and say that Wakanda Forever was, didn't necessarily hit the same height of critical and audience success, but still, $821 million, man. You can't. It's nothing to sneeze at. So, I will accept my victory. I'll accept my victory and and can't wait to actually see it again. I watched it twice, so I want to see it one more time when it hits Disney Plus. Which I don't think I had made that as part of the. I hadn't mentioned this before, but it's going to be on Disney Plus on the 1st of February. Just in time for Black History Month. I'm sure that's not accidental. So, LADI, I think they've done everything they meant to do with it. So, yeah, there you go. I'm not going to gloat anymore. Good for Wakanda forever. And as of now, I'm going to stop updating us on the box office going forward. They've won. That's all you need to know. Moving on, the MCU in 2023. So we know that we're getting 3 MCU movies this year, right? So we're getting Quantumania, we're getting the Marvels, and what's the last one for the year? It's one more. What's the third one? LADI, what's the third movie we're getting this year? It's what? Why am I blanking on this? It's
the third movie we're getting this year.
Yeah, the third movie this year.
We're getting Quantumania.
It was supposed to be Blade. I don't know.
The Marvels. That Blade is not coming out. No,
yeah, I don't think we're getting Blade. Well, I'm sure we'll figure it out. But because this is about the MCU shows, it seems, at least for now, that officially they're saying only 3 shows are coming.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, thank you, Guardians Volume 3. Thank the Lord. I was like, why am I having a senior moment here? Yes, but apparently only 3 shows have officially been, I guess, promoted as coming out this year. Now, before we thought we were going to get, potentially What If Season 2 or, I think, not Blade. I feel like we had one more that was coming out this year. But it seems that only Secret Invasion, Ironheart, and what's the last one? And Loki Season 2 are officially, slated to come out this year. And that, I have to say, it makes sense. Because we know that they were shooting all 3 of those last year, right? And so we hadn't heard about the shooting of anything else except those 3 last year. But LADI, I guess my question is, if there's only 3 coming out this year, what does this say about the production pipeline over at Marvel? And is this an indication of what we've been hearing about, which is that they're sort of reconfiguring and realigning their priorities to have fewer things come out that have a lot more of Kevin Feige's personal attention on them to get them back up to standard? What do you think?
I believe this is it. I believe we might start seeing, they haven't fully announced it yet, but we might start seeing some shows that they announced may get canceled or maybe just pushed to just being a special, like a 1 hour special or 2 hour special or something like that, because they were stretching themselves way too thin. I mean, they were coming out with a lot of content in such a short period of time. It's good that they're kind of, I believe that this is an indication that they're, starting to, pull back a little bit, slow down with how much stuff they're going to be coming out all at once and say, hey, let's just make the things that we do come out good as possible. Even though it's not a lot, it's more slowing down. And it's like I said, we haven't heard it yet, but probably by maybe this time, by summertime, we're going to start hearing like some of the shows that we thought were going to be full length shows are going to start getting pushed to being specials or may even get outright canceled. We'll see.
Yeah. And some of this stuff that they're talking about is animation also. So I could see, how they could miss some of that. Like, and there was.
Didn't they already cancel Spider-Man? Didn't they already cancel?
Well, that I don't know about. So that's the thing. I think we talked about it that it hadn't been confirmed that they had canceled Spider-Man freshman year. But the whole, remember Echo, they're talking about reconfiguring or redoing some of that of Echo because of
Yeah.
problems they were having. And I'm saying here they're talking about, well, the Coven of Chaos, they hadn't even started shooting that. There's no way in hell, there's no way in hell that that's coming out this year. Not if they had, as far as I know, they hadn't started shooting that. X-Men 97 is an animated thing, so, and What If Season 2 is, an animated thing also, but we hadn't heard anything else about it. So, I imagine if anything could slip to next year, the animated stuff are probably it. But who knows when? We just hadn't had any word, but it's early on in the year. And if we miss Echo, I mean, if that waits till early next year, that's not going to bother me terribly, as long as it comes out before Daredevil, Rebirth. And Coven of Chaos, again, like, I feel like that's not. I don't know how much that's going to have to do with the overall story of the MCU that we have to watch it this year. And I do agree. I think it's good that they slow down on producing a lot of stuff and instead focus on, like, if they only do those 3 plus 3 movies, that's a good year for the MCU. 6 things that come out that are a lot tighter and a lot more focused. So, but we'll see. I think we're going to find out a little more about that in the coming month or month and a half, and we'll let you guys know more about that then. I do want to talk about Jeremy Renner. This was unfortunate, man. We all love Jeremy Renner. We love Hawkeye. I don't care what anyone says about the Hawkeye TV show. I really, really liked it. I had a great time with it. But we like Hawkeye in general, and Jeremy Renner's, his playing Hawkeye. So it was really unfortunate. I was like, that we saw that, he got into a pretty serious accident. It was very seriously injured to the point of having to be taken to the ICU and go to surgery and everything like that. Turns out, it was a accident with a snowplow that he got kind of hit, or it fell on him or something like that when he was trying to help out somebody out on the road. And he had to be rushed off to be attended to by medical professionals. LADI, man, I don't know. I don't know. What was your thoughts when you saw that and about the whole situation?
I actually have an update. He seems to be awake, and he just tweeted out a photo of himself.
Oh yeah. I did see that. That he's better. He had on like the little oxygen thing on his nose, and he does look beat up. But
Yeah.
my understanding of, like, his neighbor was a doctor and got a good tourniquet on him so to stop him from losing too much blood. And just generally speaking, it's great that he got help. I have to be honest. I feel like the last few months of the year has just been like loss. People just here and there. Like, the last few months have been like that. So I was just like, thank the Lord. At least that didn't happen. That
Yeah,
was, yeah. But
go ahead.
anyway, no, I was just like, I'm just glad that happened. So what you were saying?
It's just it's we've talked before the podcast a lot of stuff with me personally, you know with you and just people that I know and everything. It's just like in the sports world, the acting world, just people during this holiday, just accidents were just happening, loss, just like stuff that you usually don't hear stuff like this, but it was. And if it is, it's very few in between. I mean, I remember driving from my dad's home after Christmas, seeing one of our neighbors being rushed into the ambulance, and it's just like I'm just like, what's going on? Just
Hmm.
it's just one of those like weird times where just a lot of like accidents and you know accidents and tragedies just happening during the holiday break. Happy to see that he's doing much better. He's actually, he's awake now and cognizant. It's just, man, like you said, it's just one of those things that you just like, what? Like, wow. Like, I'm just, I'm seeing people on YouTube channels making just constantly videos going like, man, this actor just passed away. This athlete just did this. This just happened to this athlete. And I'm like, God, what? It's like, oh man, 2023 couldn't have came quicker. Finally, hopefully we can get out this mojo. 2022.
Yeah,
So 2022, you can be gone. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah. It was. It's you never want to hear. You don't want to see stuff like this because I mean he's a young guy or youngish guy, um, and just apparently was just trying to do something, trying to help somebody out, and just an unfortunate thing happened in the snow out there. But he seems to be on the mend. We're happy to hear about that. And we'll keep you guys updated. But we're just hoping for a speedy recovery. We got to get him out there with that bow and arrow again, y'all. Uh, so Godspeed to Jeremy Renner. Get better soon, man. And finally, this our last bit of news. One of my most anticipated things this year is a kids show, and I don't care what anyone says. It looks awesome. Called Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. It's an animated show not for Disney Plus, for Disney Channel, but we're gonna get to see it on Disney Plus. About a comic book character named Moon Girl who's super smart. She's gonna be a superhero. She's got Devil Dinosaur, who's her red, big Tyrannosaurus Rex looking dinosaur companion. They fight crime, and it's all cute, fun stuff. And we got a sneak peek today of it. And Lottie, what'd you think about it?
happy that this exists. Like, I really am happy that a show like this exists. And I saw it. It reminds me a lot of like if Proud Family was an action show.
Yeah.
And I'm just so happy that this exists. And I reiterate this because someone who grew up in the '90s, there were so many like black cartoons. Seabear and Jamal, um, Seabear and Jamal. What was this? What was the fat dude that
uh,
Bill Cosby made? The show, the
Fat Albert.
Fat Albert, Wayne Head, Baby's. There were so many black cartoons, and there's some more that I just can't think of right now. And it just seemed like it just disappeared, like literally just boom, like disappeared in the ether. Then cartoons like Craig at the Creek came up, and now it seems like more and more we're starting to get more and more, like black cartoons. Proud Family came back, and I'm happy to see that this show exists, man. It looks good. Like, it actually looks good. I was actually like, the first sneak peek, I was like, okay, the dialogue is funny, but now the action scenes, I'm like, okay. It reminds me a little bit of like Teen Titans, but it's not. It's more closer to the 2006 Teen Titans, not the Teen Titans Go. It's more.
Hmm.
It looks more of that pre-teeny show. You know
Can
what I
I
mean?
can I say I got a little bit of Dexter's Laboratory in that too.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a little Dexter's Laboratory in that. I freaking love that. Like, I'm again, this is a show aimed at kids, and I don't give a damn because it looks cool. I mean, it really, I like the comic that it's based on, and this is like right up my alley. I am all ready to be locked into this. It's coming out next month. I think it's February 20th. I want to say. And we need more of this. Look, this. I'm telling you, we need. This is the sort of thing we need. And also, I just want to sort of look at this and point out the reason why I'm glad that Bob Chapek is out. That he's not CEO at Disney anymore because he's an idiot. Well, no, he's not an idiot. Obviously, he can't be an idiot. He ran a company. but he's an idiot in terms of like thinking he knows what people want. This dude, remember, he was like, it's animation just for kids. Nobody wants it, blah, 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 and all that other stuff. That's the sort of foolishness that keeps us from having cool and fun stuff that's animated. And this is a cool and fun thing that I'm glad we're getting. That somehow it got under his radar, probably because it's aimed at kids. But he's totally wrong about that. And this is semi related just because we're talking about animation. But LADI, I was listening to another show and they were talking about, the Disney released information about their top 10 most streamed movies and TV shows of 2022 in America and internationally. And do you know that 7 out of the top 10 were animated things? Like for movies? Where 7 out of 10 were animated, right? And like more than half of the TV shows were animated. And it's not just because kids watch stuff. Like they're not the only people watching Disney Channel. Obviously, that's a big thing. But still, the point is, it's like they had a CEO that said no one cares about that except kids. And it's like some of their top shit on Disney Plus. So thank the Lord we got a CEO back that actually values animation and understands that it can make money, that it can, drive subscriptions and get, eyeballs on content. And hopefully that means that we'll get more investment in stuff like this show. Because this is a look, that's a gateway drug, if you will, to live action Marvel stuff. Would you agree?
Yes. Yeah.
So you get them in the door. You get them, and I'll tell you, you know what? This is gonna blow your mind. One of the top shows, the animated TV shows that they had, one of the top shows that was streamed on Disney Plus last year was Spidey and His Amazing Friends. That little, kiddie Spider-Man show with like Spider-Gwen and Miles Morales and Spider-Man. It's one of their top shows. It's a gateway drug to the MCU. And Bob Chapek didn't fucking understand that, but Bob Iger does. So anyway, that was a tangent just to say animation rules, and so we need more of it. I cannot wait for this show. I'm very excited. So anyway, LADI, believe it or not, that's all our news for this week. But maybe we missed something. Or, maybe just have something to say about our various topics or what we had to say about it. Get down to the comment section. Leave your thoughts there. And, of course, you can always hit us up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button on this video and, notification bell. All of that good stuff lets you know when we drop new content. It also helps grow the channel, and it helps more people to see these videos so they can get on the Supercast. And, of course, speaking of the Supercast, I can't do this by myself. LADI helps me out tremendously with his insights. So, LADI, where can they reach you on social media?
Well, yeah, you can always find me on my Instagram, which is Kinihun. It's Anu Kinihun. It's spelled ANUKINIHUN. Again, it's ANUKINIHUN. And of course, my YouTube channel, which was my New Year's resolution. I'm going to dedicate myself to actually making my YouTube channel, putting more content on it instead of just streaming videos. I'm going to actually dedicate myself to put more content on my YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. My YouTube channel's been growing a little bit. So if you ever want to leave a like, a comment, a subscription, or a follow, please do it. It means a lot to me. I'm not doing this just for money. I actually do enjoy making content. So it does mean a lot.
Yeah, you guys go and show LADI some love. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, the way you do over here. So, all right, episode 83 in the can. We got next week more superhero stuff going down, as usual, because, the superhero train, it just never stops around here. So Lottie, good show, man. It's good show, good talk. But we'll be looking forward to next week. So until then, I've been Mo De Pupe, your resident fabricant and comment extraordinaire on all things pop culture, joined by the anime expert, video game designer, and lover of all things superhero, my good friend Lottie. And we'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.
Peace.